everyone, Bear here again. Well, in this video we're going to be talking about the SharkScope desktop leak detector. So on that little note there, let's just spring over, or should we say leap over, to the SharkScope desktop section. And here at the bottom of these drop downs you can see here the leak detectors. So if I click on that, you get various options here, and we're going to talk about them in a minute. But first thing you're going to be asking, if you're a hobby player, somebody who doesn't play a great deal, is what is a leak detector? Why is it so important? Well, let me give you a little of a brief overview. No matter what skill set you have, whether you're a hobby player all the way up to an advanced regular, you've likely got what we call habits that are preventing you from winning as much as you should at the tables, okay? Now, in some cases, this can actually make the difference between being a winning player or a losing player. Now, these habits are called leaks in poker, and invariably they are draining your bankroll, and all too often you can end up donating money to your opponents. Now, I don't know about you, but the idea of giving my money away sticks in my throat, and this is why a decent leak detector can be a godsend for the average poker player. Now, if you go hunting online for various programs, you can see them on offer at various prices ranging from 80 to 90 bucks, and it's not uncommon to see the price soar way above that. Now, I'm delighted to say that SharkScope desktop has one built in, and it's all part of the package. Now, in my opinion, it's a tasty freebie, and I love add-ons like this, as it just adds great value to this software. So without further ado, let's get stuck in here and have a wee look at it. So the first one we've got here is Preflop Aggression. So if I click on that, okay, we get a couple options popping up here with a wee explanation of what Preflop Aggression is. So we can start it for ring games and start it for tournaments. Now I've got a filter up here which says year to date. Now it's September, 3/4 of the way through the year, so that's not a bad sample to look at. So if I run this on my ring games, start for ring games, we'll just click on that, up it pops, and it's running the leak finder on a sample of about 170 odd thousand hands, which is not a bad sample. And as you can see, very quickly it gives an analysis of how you're performing here, okay? Now at the top here it basically tells you where this leak detector works the best. So it's saying full ring, no limit hold'em, especially in the small stakes, micro stakes there. This puppy works really well at that level. And what this is doing here for Preflop Aggression is it's basically indicating your aggression levels, basically where you're raising from and how often you should be doing this. So the rule of thumb here is you should be raising at least 50% of the time when you enter the pot. So if you take that into consideration, flicking back here to my ring games here, if 50% is our raise rate minimum that we should be looking at, let's just look at the stats here. So button, obviously before the blinds, cut off 1, 2, big blind, small blind. And it gives me a percentage with a green graph on here. So overall, I'm not doing too badly here. Maybe a wee bit more work on the button here. You can see that it's 76%, because it would be really nice to get all these figures into the 90% bracket. But look at this. It's saying good. But hang on, it's found a leak here. Big blind, I'm too passive. I should be raising more and calling less. Now remember, I play a lot of Zoom cash games, so this is rating this on in cash games here. But you can change the table size at the top here to 9-man. If you're playing full ring, you can change what game type you're playing at. You can even look at what positions you're doing it on. It lets you do loads here, which is great. So you can play around with the filters at the top. So let's give you a wee demonstration. If I change this to 9 max, for example, and I know I've probably hardly played anything on the ring games for 9 max. Look, there you go. It's found 5 hands. And a wee pop-up comes here, which is great. And it basically tells you the league finder works best when it's got at least 10,000 hands to analyze from. So you're looking at that base level to get a real understanding of where are my strengths and where are my weaknesses, basically. So if we take the filter out, bang it in there, refresh again. Look how quick that is. It's great. So if we then flip over to our tournaments, look at this here. We can look at how we're doing here. So overall, it's saying, I actually like to look at that there. That's giving me a pretty good indication of how I'm doing there in all these positions. However, again, blind, although it says I'm doing well here, in the big blind, there's potentially some improvement there as well as the small blind. So let's pop over to positional awareness. We'll just start that for ring games. Click on that. There you go, very quickly. Now, for all you regulars, you'll know this, but basically, the further away you are from the button, the tighter you should really be playing, especially at cash game. And what it's doing here for positional awareness is it's basically comparing your voluntary put in the pot rate in each position. So for me, it's saying cut off 1 and cut off 2. It likes that. It doesn't really give me much of a comment here, but it's giving me a green here for the button at 30%. But remember, I'm playing 6 max, right, and I'm playing Zoom. So button and cut off, we're really going to be obviously trying to exploit that position a lot. And if you think about it, putting money into the pot here, 20 to 30%, depending on your game, type, it's not that bad actually. So I don't mind what I'm looking at there. Probably a few tweaks, but not that bad. If we flip over to tournaments, let's see how we're doing here. So it's saying overall pretty good here. And again, this is something you can work on yourself, but it's saying good, good here. However, look at this. It spotted something. On cutoff 4, compared to other positions, you're too loose in this spot. So it's suggesting a little bit of an amendment there, which obviously is useful to note. Now, if we jump over to blind stealing, let's go over here. We'll look at this. Start for ring games. Just give it a wee second as it churns away. Now, what this does here is it's basically checking what your blind stealing attempts are. And what it says here is if you're not looking to steal the blinds at least 20% of the time, what you're doing there is you're giving up what they class as easy winnings. And what it also says here as an advisory is really you should be winning a high percentage of your blind stealings, okay? Now, if you're not, then you're probably trying to steal too often. Or when you're stealing with too weak a hand holding. So, for example, like 7 deuce suited. And you think that might be a great stealing option. Well, no, it's not. So if we look what it's done here, in 170,000 hands for me, it says my blind stealing attempt rate is 44%. So it likes that, which is great. Now, the number of big blinds I've actually won per 100 hands from the blind stealing attempts is 34.32. So it likes that, which is great. And what it does says is it's better than your actual overall take of minus 0.37. So what it's saying here is I'm getting stuffed. So my run of luck is not good. So my attempts are decent. The actual what hands, big blinds won per 100 hands is decent. But my actual return, I ain't getting my fair share of luck. Okay, interesting. If we flip this over to start for tournaments, this will be interesting, won't it? Give us a wee second. There we go. See how quick that is. That's pretty good there. 26,000 it's got here. Blind stealing attempt rate is 52%, so it likes that. Big blinds 1 per 100 hands, 38. Decent, not too bad. It likes that. Better than my overall take of minus 0.70. Obviously, the poker gods don't like bear. So that suggests I'm probably not doing so well. And again, if I go into some of my actual data, I can actually look at my graphs and say, well, is it bad luck? Or is it something else? And obviously I've done that already and I know it's bad luck. And again, remember, like I said beforehand with the filters, you can break this all down into what section we'll look at. As I say, we're doing year to date, but you can look at the last month, last 3 months, look at your table sizes, game type, and it's fully flexible, so you can play around with this as you see fit. So if we move on to pocket pairs, click on that. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on our ring games, churning away here. It's got 170,000 hands to look from, and there you go, up it pops very quickly. Now what SharkScope Desktop's leak track is saying here is that you should have a voluntary put in the pot of at least 85% for pocket pairs, ranging from ace-ace to 8-8. So if you take that into consideration, let's look on the left-hand side and let's see how we're doing. So ace-ace, look at this, all the way down here. We're looking pretty tasty here. I like this. So on my ring games, I'm doing fine in my opinion. Mid to high 90s in most cases, which is pretty good. And even down at the bottom there, you see that with deuce, deuce, 3, 3, 4, 4, I seem to be performing pretty well on that front. So there's no major leaks here with my pairs. Now this next box here is just great. It's your Preflop Raise divided by your voluntary put in the pot. Now what it says here from the leak tracker here is it's saying it should be 1 divided by 3, so it's 0.33. Just for you people that aren't very good at math. And this is for pocket pairs, okay? So let's just look at this here. So bear, obviously, I think all of us would be pretty good for ace, ace, king, king hands like that. They're pretty easy to play. So at the top end here, I'm looking pretty good here. As I go down the chart here, as you can see, it should be 0.33, so my total's 0.76. So it says it likes that, which is great. Nice to see. And all the way down to 2-2 here. Do you know what? I don't mind that. That looks pretty okay to me. Probably a few tweaks there if we do a little bit more in-depth analysis. But overall, on the face of it, it's saying I'm doing pretty well with my pocket pairs. And no surprise, the big blinds won. Per 100 hands. Look at this. Aces are obviously way at the top where they should be. Kings and queens doing pretty well. Jacks, tens, not so bad. Interesting stat here with 5, 6s and 8s. You see how they're leapfrogging. 132, 199. They're actually leapfrogging, for example. And well, 2 of them are leapfrogging jacks there. And that's probably me set mining. So I'm hitting my set and I'm extrapolating maximum value with it, which is nice. Down the bottom here, 4s and 7s, not doing so hot, but still showing a small profit there. So overall, not too shabby. Now let's flop over to our tournaments and let's see how we're doing on that one. So remember, we're looking at 85% for our pocket pairs, okay? Ace, ace to 8, 8. So we're scrolling down here Okay, and look, we found a leak here. So doing fine here at the top. A couple of areas we could probably improve on with our 10s, for example. But overall, not too bad here on our tournaments. But look, we found a leak here with A8. We're not raising enough and putting our money in the pot. So either pre-flop when we're first in, we're not raising with the puppy, or we're not going with the 8s as much as we should do. And as we go down here, we can see, look at this. We got 6s at 78, 5, 77, 2, 78. So, yeah, we can understand that depending on the position on the tournament, but definitely one or two areas we can improve on there. Remember, the figure we're looking for here is 0.33 for our pre-flop raise to voluntary put in the pot. Okay, so I like this at the top end. We're doing really well. In actual fact, look, overall, if 0.33 is our base marker here, we're scoring 0.7 or better and above. So pre-flop raise to voluntary put in the pot, we've got a pretty decent balance here. So looking at that, I'm quite happy with that. And here in the final bit here, big blinds 1 per 100 hands in our 26,000 sample. Obviously aces and kings way out in front, which we'd expect. Not too bad for some of the other hands, but look here at the bottom, 3s. Not doing so hot with them, so maybe we should be looking at our 3s and our smaller pocket pairs, although look at that, I look at the 2s returning a nice return there, and obviously that'll be us set mining again, so maybe we just be a wee bit cautious with some of our smaller pocket pairs. That's a little indication there. And the last section we're going to go to is suited connectors here. So let's look at ring games here. So a voluntary put in the pot, pretty decent here at the top end, but obviously you can see here I'm being a bit of a chicken looking at the bottom here with hands like 4-3, 3-2, 4-5, and I don't actually mind that really. At the top end I'm pretty comfortable with that. Little analogy required here on the smaller suited connectors. And what you can do is look at your voluntary put in the pot and then compare how you're performing over here, okay? And look at that, my 4-5, my 3-4, my 3-2, these are not profitable for me. So that's something where I could probably, take the hit on the left hand side, putting it in the pot, and cut these guys out, well, not altogether, but in a lot of spots here to try and save myself some money. So overall, not too shabby. My pre-flop raise, I've already put in the pot. 0.33 is our base, remember? So I'm looking at this here, and I like this. This looks pretty tasty overall, so I'm pretty comfortable. All in the green here. My pre-flop raised on my suited connectors. Okay, not too bad. Like, that's not so hot with ace-king. Suited here. So that's probably, I would say, it's definitely a leak there. We should be getting that way up into the 70s, 80s, easy. So there's definitely a leak. At the bottom here, fair dues, depending. Remember, I'm talking 6-max ring games here. So yeah, definitely some room for improvement here. And look at this. This is a great one here. My big blind's 1 per 100. So if I'm winning a lot here with the ace-king, I should be raising a lot more. Okay? Hands that are costing me money, that's not ideal here at the top. Jack 10's decent, 9-8, okay, that's great, but look at these little small suited connectors. What I'm winning here, I'm not winning, I'm actually losing money. So that's an area where we could tighten up on our ring games. Now let's look at our tournaments and see how we're getting on here. So not too shabby at the top end, dips away at the end, but what we really want to do is look at this and then compare it to what we've actually won. And as you can see here at the end box here, big blinds 1 per 100, our small suited connectors are actually a drain on our chips here in our tournaments. So that's something we need to actually look at and do a little bit more homework and say, right, am I calling too often? Am I raising in dodgy positions here with these small hand holdings here? Because certainly on my tournaments, it's costing me chips. Pre-flop raise to voluntary put in the pot here. 0.33 is my analogy here, so pretty decent overall here, so I can't argue with that. Look at this though, 3-4, not ideal, bit of work required there. Suited connectors again here, pre-flop raise. This is not too bad, but again at the bottom here, what's happening? Am I a little too tight with these hands? Could I exploit it a wee bit more? Again, it's down to doing a little bit more homework. But it's this section at the end here which comes into its own. Big blinds, 1 per 100 hands. I'm not really doing so well on my suited connectors. Why is that? What is causing that? Is it bad luck? Is it a flaw? Well, I already know some of this because I've got some analysis. So if I go to my all-in equity, for example, on my tournaments, just to bring that one into the equation, look at this, people. And on the analysis here is I've got it in with some really heavy big draws here on many occasions. And as you can see here, my return, my all-in value, big blind here, I should be doing a lot better than I am. And that's the actual real return. So there's part of the answer. I've just not been running particularly well with some of my suited connectors with the big draws when I've hit them. So there you go, people. I've walked you through that, given you a little bit of an analysis on how I'd look at that. Obviously, you can dig much deeper and go into certain areas using the filters at the top here and the game types. So hopefully you found this very useful. Now, anybody wanting to improve their game that doesn't like donating money to other people, I'm pretty damn sure you'll agree with me. This is a fantastic tool and a great add-on with the SharkScope desktop. So use it to your advantage. Play around with it. It's up to you. It's very simplistic to use, and I'm pretty sure you'll all agree with me. Fantastic tool. And on that note, take care now. Bye.